In 1982, three engineers met in a Houston pie shop and sketched a machine design on a napkin. This concept would later allow Compaq to compete at the highest level with IBM in personal computers. By 1995, Compaq had become the world's largest personal computer maker, shipping more units than the company that had invented the PC. By 2002, however, Compaq was integrated into Hewlett-Packard through a merger that faced significant internal reservations, and its brand was subsequently used primarily on basic HP desktops. This represents a striking contrast. The company had shown the industry effective ways to clone technology, scale production, and achieve leadership through focused execution speed. It later found itself challenged by competitors employing similar principles but with superior timing and adaptability. The developments were shaped by key decisions rather than chance. These decisions involved the removal of the founders from leadership, acquisitions that increased the company's scale in ways that created new challenges, and the initial underestimation of Michael Dell's approach to redefining PC market rules from Texas. The factors of strategic positioning, timing in the market, leadership transitions, and response to competitive signals played critical roles. Compaq's path was determined through a series of strategic choices, each contributing to the overall outcome. The following analysis examines the sequence of these elements in detail, from the company's origins through its growth phases and eventual transition. February 1982 saw Rod Canyon, Jim Harris, and Bill Murto, three senior managers from Texas Instruments, meet in the House of Pies in Houston with $30,000 in personal savings. Their focus was to develop a portable computer capable of running all IBM PC software without any modifications. IBM had established the standard, and their approach was to build upon it directly. They undertook the legal reverse engineering of the BIOS, completing it line by line in a controlled environment with legal oversight. This resulted in the Compaq Portable, a 28-pound portable computer that, despite its size, delivered full compatibility with key software such as Lotus 123 and WordStar. Launched in March 1983, it achieved sales of 53,000 units in its first full year. Generating $111 million in revenue, this performance represented the fastest first-year result in American business history at the time. Ben Rosen of Seven Rosen Partners provided $2.5 million in funding and assumed the role of chairman. The company was initially incorporated as Gateway Technology before being rebranded as Compaq, reflecting the emphasis on compatibility and quality. Sales were conducted exclusively through dealers rather than direct channels. This decision recognized that corporate buyers valued support and established relationships. Over simpler purchasing options, by 1986, Compaq had reached the Fortune 500 list more quickly than any previous company. In 1987, it attained $1 billion in sales faster than any company had previously managed. The leadership brought significant experience as former Texas Instruments personnel, providing deep knowledge of IBM's operations, Intel's technology roadmap, and Microsoft's software ecosystem. Rather than competing primarily on price, Compaq emphasized perfect compatibility combined with targeted innovations in areas such as graphics, bus speed, and portability. Initial challenges centered on securing sufficient capital and building market credibility. While IBM held the potential to challenge them legally, Compaq instead prompted IBM to adopt a more defensive position. Through this process, the clone product evolved into a key part of the industry standard. The founders maintained a disciplined execution focus. This approach supported early growth but also set the stage for the company to eventually exceed the scale that the original leadership structure was designed to manage. The engineering expertise and dealer-focused strategy created initial momentum that translated directly into rapid market acceptance. The period from 1983 to 1995 saw Compaq implement its strategies with high precision. The company was among the first to incorporate the 386 chip. In 1989, it introduced the EISA bus, which helped unite the industry in opposition to IBM's proprietary PS2 system. The product line was expanded from portable computers to include desktops, servers, and in 1993, the Presario line for consumers, which extended PCUs into home environments while maintaining strong relationships with the dealer network. The approach to market. Leadership was systematic. Price competition was not the primary focus at this stage. Instead, the company provided corporate customers with reliable products at large scale. By 1989, Compaq had surpassed Apple to become the second largest PC maker behind IBM. In 1995, it surpassed IBM to become the largest in the world. Revenue levels increased substantially. The dealer channel, consisting of thousands of resellers who depended on Compaq's margin structure, established a strong competitive advantage. Corporate customers placed confidence in the brand due to the confidence of the channel partners. The company's innovations were closely aligned with market opportunities. It aligned product releases with Intel's chip introductions, allowing it to bring new products to market more quickly than IBM could adjust its processes. Investment in engineering talent was significant, with hires averaging 15 years of experience. In contrast to competitors who relied on less experienced staff, the company went public in 1983, securing capital that supported continued expansion. The financial results reflected this progress, with revenue growing from $111 million in 1983 to more than $3 billion on a quarterly basis by the mid-1990s. Market share, in global terms, increased steadily. The company influenced the overall architecture of computing systems. Major software providers optimized their products for Compaq platforms first. Component suppliers sought partnerships with the company. However, the company culture, originally built around engineering excellence and dealer relationships by the founders, experienced a shift. In 1991, amid a recession and the Gulf War, profits declined. The chairman, Ben Rosen, decided to replace Rod Canyon in a boardroom decision. Eckhard Pfeiffer, the executive who had led European operations, assumed leadership. Pfeiffer focused on operational adjustments, including staff reductions of 1,700 positions and price adjustments to drive volume. These moves accelerated growth in the short term but introduced new pressures on the organization's original structure. The rise demonstrated how timing on technology cycles and channel strength could sustain dominance. Yet the leadership transition marked the point at which operational focus began to diverge from the founding emphasis on engineering and long-term dealer loyalty. This change set conditions for subsequent challenges, as the company scaled beyond its initial framework. By the mid-1990s, Compaq held the position of the leading PC supplier worldwide. Market share levels positioned IBM as comparatively smaller in the segment. Production facilities operated continuously. The Presario line extended the brand into household recognition. The portfolio covered servers, desktops, and notebooks, all carrying the Compaq designation associated with corporate standards. The broader influence on the industry was evident. Wall Street analysts described the company's progress as a significant shift in market structure. Within the Houston headquarters, the operating environment reflected high confidence in the established model. The dealer network remained highly stable. Engineering capabilities stayed strong. Alignment with Intel product cycles remained consistent. The financial position provided substantial resources, though major acquisitions had not yet occurred. Pfeiffer's emphasis on volume growth appeared effective at the time. Profit levels recovered from the 1991 decline. By 1995, unit shipments exceeded those of all competitors. The organizational atmosphere supported continued momentum. The founders had been replaced, but the systems they established continued to operate with market support. Compaq no longer needed to compete in the same manner as earlier. It defined the competitive landscape. IBM had been overtaken. Apple held limited relevance in corporate settings. Dell remained a smaller player focused on direct sales, often viewed as suitable for lower-tier segments. At this stage, Compaq shaped supply chain priorities and industry discussions. The position appeared stable given the decade of consistent performance, yet the technology sector is characterized by short cycles of advantage, and the factors that supported dominance would soon face new pressures from alternative models. While Compaq maintained its leading position, Michael Dell developed an alternative operational approach based in Texas. The model emphasized direct sales, build-to-order configuration, and minimal inventory levels. This structure allowed for lower prices and shorter delivery times compared to channel-based systems. Initial indicators emerged in the mid-1990s. Dell gained corporate accounts through customized configurations delivered quickly. Compaq's dealers reported increasing pressure on their margins. The leadership team viewed the development as limited to consumer segments, distinguishing it from enterprise-focused systems. The growth of the Internet introduced a second factor. Online purchasing expanded for both consumers and small businesses. Compaq's reliance on retail and dealer channels appeared less responsive and more costly in this environment. Dell, in contrast, developed a website that supported configuration and rapid fulfillment. Internal structural elements compounded the situation. The dealer channel, previously a competitive strength, restricted flexibility. A full shift to direct sales risked alienating established partners. Retention of the channel limited the ability to match price and speed advantages. Attempts to pursue elements of both approaches yielded limited results. Market changes further highlighted differences. The emergence of sub-$1,000 PCs and the commoditization of hardware shifted emphasis toward price. Compaq's cost structure developed around premium positioning, became less competitive. The competitive dynamic was not immediately apparent because it operated on different principles. It represented a change in the rules of engagement rather than a direct replication of existing methods. Compaq's response remained limited until market share indicators had already shifted significantly. This period illustrated how established advantages can become constraints when market conditions evolve. Leadership changes following the 1991 removal of Rod Canyon contributed to evolving internal dynamics. The original emphasis on engineering, priorities, and dealer relationships gradually diminished. Pfeiffer brought strong operational and marketing capabilities from his European role, but operated as an external figure to the founding culture. Growth targets prioritized quarterly shipments. Volumes over longer-term structural considerations. Acquisitions added complexity. The 1997 purchase of Tandem Computers for $3 billion aimed to strengthen enterprise capabilities. Integration was reported as effective at the time. The 1998 acquisition of Digital Equipment Corporation for $9.6 billion sought to broaden the portfolio into high-end systems. This added legacy expenses, a unionized workforce, and differing engineering practices. The two acquisitions within a short period created overlapping product lines and integration demands. Cultural differences between the legacy mini-computer operations and Compaq's PC-focused speed created operational friction. Costs increased as expected. Synergies proved difficult to realize in practice. Strategic assumptions remained centered on the benefits of volume and scale. The organization continued to prioritize unit shipments in internal measures rather than per-unit profitability. The elevated cost structure relative to emerging competitors received limited attention. The board, including Ben Rosen, noted emerging issues but addressed them after significant delays. Pfeiffer's leadership approach, while effective in driving results, generated internal caution among teams. Talent retention became more challenging. The organization, once characterized by precise movement, increasingly operated through established momentum. These internal developments reflected how rapid scaling and leadership transitions can introduce structural vulnerabilities that affect adaptability in a changing market. The challenges that followed stemmed from a series of interconnected decisions, influenced by organizational confidence and delayed adaptation. The first area involved the approach to sales channels. In 1998, a partial shift toward direct sales was announced. Implementation was incomplete, leading to dealer resistance and margin compression. The resulting hybrid structure addressed neither channel's requirements fully. Competitors continued to refine their models without similar constraints. The second decision concerned the scale of the DEC acquisition. The $9.6 billion investment was intended to create comprehensive solutions capabilities, comparable to IBM. The outcome included sustained legacy expenses, product line overlaps, and extended integration efforts that diverted executive focus. Resources allocated to this process reduced capacity for other developments. Internal references later described the acquisition as a significant ongoing commitment. The third factor related to timing in the internet-driven market. While competitors optimized direct online configuration and fulfillment, Compaq maintained its established retail emphasis. E-commerce initiatives were introduced later and with less integration. The Presario line, previously effective, faced commoditization as lower-priced options proliferated. Pricing influence decreased accordingly. The fourth element involved leadership. Transitions. Pfeiffer's compensation structure aligned with aggressive volume objectives. When first-quarter results underperformed and stock value declined substantially, the board acted in April 1999. Pfeiffer was replaced in a short-term decision. Michael Capella's, previously Chief Information Officer, assumed the role. The preceding period had already established structural pressures. The fifth area was the assessment of competitive structural differences. The organization maintained confidence in brand, strength, and scale as sufficient advantages. Price adjustments were made in response, which affected margins. Workforce reductions occurred. Multiple operational changes were attempted, yet the core business model remained largely unchanged until market conditions enforced adjustment. These decisions reflected accumulated effects of confidence in prior success at the time when market conditions had shifted. The company that had previously moved ahead of IBM now responded more slowly than newer entrants. Each delayed adjustment or partial response added to the cumulative impact. The issues were not primarily technical, but related to the timing and completeness of strategic adaptation. Organizational belief in the durability of existing advantages contributed to the sequence of outcomes. From 1999 to 2002, the pace of change intensified. Dell surpassed Compaq in PC shipment volumes. Market share levels declined. Stock performance shifted from prior growth to significant reductions. Financial pressures increased. Costs associated with the integration of DEC and Tandem affected cash positions. The dealer network contracted and experienced internal tensions. Corporate customers moved toward Dell's customized and faster options. Consumer segments shifted toward online purchasing channels. The situation reached a critical stage in 2001. Compaq initiated confidential discussions with Hewlett-Packard regarding a combination. Carly Fiorina viewed the transaction as a means to strengthen the PC segment against ongoing competition. The announcement occurred in September 2001 with a value of $25 billion in stock. The proposal encountered substantial opposition. Walter Hewlett, representing the founding family interests, led a proxy challenge. Shareholder views were divided. Differences in organizational cultures, including HP's engineering focus versus Compaq's volume orientation, were evident. The shareholder vote passed by a narrow margin. On May 3, 2002, Compaq concluded its status as an independent entity. The company that had previously challenged established leaders was absorbed through its own scale and prior decisions. The market transition was comprehensive. The brand was repositioned within the combined entity. Production facilities were consolidated. Employment impacts occurred across operations. The Compaq name continued on select lower-end consumer products, representing a shift from its earlier association with premium compatibility standards. Following the merger, Hewlett-Packard encountered extended integration demands. Costs from the combination, workforce adjustments, and cultural alignment resulted in substantial goodwill adjustments over subsequent years. Carly Fiorina departed in 2005. The combined organization achieved stability over time, but did not restore. The independent market position Compaq had held. The Compaq brand remained on select, budget-oriented PCs until its worldwide discontinuation by HP in 2013. The original Houston headquarters transitioned into a facility within the larger HP structure. The founding team, including Rod Canyon, observed these developments from external positions as the original entity was integrated and phased out. Today, Compaq is referenced primarily in historical records, preserved early portable units in collections, and accounts from participants in its development phases. It serves as an example within technology industry analysis of how market positions evolve through strategic adaptation or its absence. Compaq's trajectory highlights consistent patterns regarding market positioning and adaptation. Channel strategy shapes long-term outcomes. The dealer relationships that supported initial growth later restricted flexibility when alternatives emerged. Organizations benefit from evaluating distribution models ahead of competitive shifts. Acquisitions require careful integration planning. The additions of tandem and deck expanded scale, but introduced complexities that diverted resources without delivering expected efficiencies. Expansion without alignment can constrain rather than strengthen operations. Organizational confidence can limit responsiveness. Once a position is viewed as enduring, attention to emerging signals may decrease. This dynamic affects decision timing more rapidly than external competition in technology sectors. Execution of operational models often determines results over initial technical advantages. Dell advanced through consistent application of a streamlined approach. Compaq possessed resources, expertise, and recognition, yet encountered limits from slower model adjustments. A broader observation is that advantages developed in one market phase can become constraints in the next. Companies that sustain performance treat current strengths as provisional and monitor conditions as potentially transformative. Compaq demonstrated effective methods for market entry and growth. Its later experience provided insight into the consequences of delayed structural changes. The original 1982 concept contained potential for both expansion and limitation. Outcomes depended on how leadership addressed shifts in the external environment. What strategic adjustments in distribution or model design might your organization consider today to maintain relevance as market conditions continue to evolve?